Sunlight bounces off towering skyscrapers as the Awakened Association stakes its claim on the city. The Jinhyuk with phone studies the mobile Awakened certificate, noting its surprisingly ordinary appearance while a voice calls out, "Jinhyuk Appa." Jinhyuk turns sharply toward the voice, his expression shifting as recognition and surprise flash across his face. The woman gestures as she explains the people claiming to know him, while he descends the stairs, processing the unexpected news. Jinhyuk smiles slightly and declares, "I'll introduce them to you." Alice crosses her arms and glares, revealing she's a Northern European player and a progenitor stirring inevitable chaos. The man in sunglasses introduces Kim Hee-wong as the new manager of the Black Crow Guild, promising to handle dungeon scouting and support allies of Representative Khan. Tears stream down as the man finally feels recognized, calling this moment a reward compared to working under Shin Jiansu's harsh rule. Jinhyuk declares he's the true master behind the Black Crow Guild, not the figurehead everyone thinks, daring others to ask him for favors whenever they need. They smile brightly, promising to get along even better from now on. They clasp hands firmly, sealing their newfound bond with unshakable determination. Jinhyuk lashes out in anger, shouting that it's their fault for pushing him too far, though he claims he never meant to go that far. Jinhyuk snaps back, accusing his opponent of failing to endure provocations despite living for thousands of years, only to be met with a cold denial that no one has ever provoked him like that before. Jinhyuk snaps back, accusing his opponent of failing to endure provocations despite living for thousands of years, only to be met with a cold denial that no one has ever provoked him like that before. Jinhyuk dashes into the forest, senses sharp and ready for any threat lurking in the shadows. Jinhyuk dashes into the forest, senses sharp and ready for any threat lurking in the shadows. Golden padlock, sealing the dungeon as the guilds keep the elite floors locked behind the third-floor boss's defeat. A crooked tower leans defiantly among the city's skyline, hiding a secret no one expects. Jinhyuk smirks confidently, eyes locked on the crooked tower, declaring, "Of course, excluding me." They step cautiously past shattered pillars beneath the cold glow of the moon, the once celebrated moon lake, now abandoned and silent. He walks the rocky path beneath the purple sky, recalling a time long past while humanity races toward extinction. Jinhyuk places a hand on his chest and steps into the lake, promising a hunt unlike any other. He strides through the water, passing 12 animal statues that guard the tranquil moonlit lake. He fixes his gaze on the distant statue, realizing it holds a secret purpose beyond guarding the lake. Jinhyuk inspects the fish-shaped statue, questioning if a secret button hides within, but doubts it's that obvious since no one's found it yet. Players debate the groove on the carp statue at Moon Lake, but no one has found the key to unlock its secret. Jinhyuk holds the cold metal object under the full moon and realizes the key isn't just a piece of metal, it's moonlight itself. He presses against the device, adjusting the moonlight's flow and with precise control over the groove's entry. The sequence stone glows intensely as the hand presses firmly, aligning the groove's pattern perfectly with the engraved code. Jinhyuk pries open the glowing crystal object with painstaking precision, revealing a mysterious light that pulses from within. The heavy door creaks open, revealing a dark stairway plunging underground as they step forward without hesitation. Jinzu descends the stairs while the other marvels aloud at the hidden space deep within the Tower of Trials. She their hand against the glowing wall, breathing in the long-lost feeling of freedom that floods their senses. Jinhyuk challenges with a sharp question, pushing for a reaction on their contract, expecting satisfaction, demanding truth. Jinzu admits the claim isn't entirely baseless, conceding it's somewhat believable despite the doubt. Jinhyuk manifests divine power with a surge of glowing blue energy, absorbing the frozen tear to trigger the second defrosting and boost his mana by 18. Jinhyuk exhales with relief, realizing it's become much easier to retain Alice, while the Jinzu hovers nearby, silently questioning. Jinhyuk summons fire in his hand, the small winged figure hovering close as they discuss the beings in the tower, and the game turned reality. Jinzu leans forward, eyes sharp as she demands, "What are you doing all of a sudden?" Jinhyuk cuts through the tension, locking eyes as he demands, "Alice, I want to ask you something." Jinhyuk's words glitch violently, his form distorting as incomprehensible symbols spill from his mouth. Jinhyuk processes her frantic shout, realizing vital information about the tower is being completely blocked. He strides deeper into the cave, clutching a light as he admits he can't share what he's learned with the tower's inhabitants. Alice spins sharply, warning kick as heavy footsteps echo through the cave. Jinhyuk slams his claw weapon into the ground as flames ignite in his palm, declaring the tower's first floor a deadly spawning ground. Jinhyuk summons a swirling blaze in his palm, flames twisting wildly as he prepares to incinerate anything that dares approach. Flames erupt in a violent explosion, the dark armored figure standing firm as the firestorm rages around him. Flames consume the figure, spreading wildly as the inferno threatens to swallow everything in its path. The clawed creature lunges through the flames, but the man just smirks, unshaken and ready to strike back. Monsters crawl endlessly from the abyss, surrounding the man as the fire blazes fiercely between them. A giant beetle scarab bursts into view, making Alice recoil in disgust and shout, "Ugh, disgusting." Jinhyuk steps forward, sword glowing as he orders Alice to retreat while the giant beetles close in without hesitation. Jinhyuk raises his hand, unleashing the blessing of the star as radiant light envelopes him, turning the tide against the encroaching beetles. The figure stands firm as a blinding beam of energy crashes down from above, threatening to obliterate everything in its path. Spiky-haired fighter slams into his opponent with a burst of raw power, shattering the monster's defenses by 30% in a brutal clash. Jinhyuk orders Alice to unleash her power as she erupts in fury, spreading bat-like wings as she prepares to confront the disgusting insects. A man smirks, pointing his finger with a glowing ring as Alice gasps in shock, caught off guard by his bold challenge. Alice leaps forward, unleashing her Bloodbind ability as crimson energy erupts beneath her feet, turning the arena into a deadly trap. Alice charges through the blood-red energy, her strike shattering the ground and sending shockwaves toward her enemies. Jinhyuk tightens his grip on the glowing sword, smirking as he prepares to unleash the rift stat that slashes through level gaps like a blade through paper. Red energy orbs swarm as Jinhyuk dodges with precision, his power surging with every level-up notification flashing around him. Jinhyuk grips the glowing purple cleaver, breaking free from his self-imposed limits as he admits his stress from holding back finally snapped. Jinhyuk unleashes his unique ability, shadows swirling as he commands, "So I'll be counting on you guys." Jinhyuk charges forward, energy crackling around him as he roars, "Don't stop coming at me." Jinhyuk slams into the enemy, unleashing a brutal burst of energy that shatters the ground beneath them. Patrick stands firm and declares the 8th raid to the 4th floor has failed, signaling the tense meeting's grim start. The speaker reveals only 9 out of 100 soldiers from 15 attack forces have returned, shattering any hope of success. The figure cloaked in orange summons a blazing red aura as countless armored statues stand motionless, ready to unleash devastation. T-Win slams his fist down, frustration boiling over as he demands a strategy to break through the overwhelming force despite the divine artifact's power. Maria points out the problem. The 2nd and 3rd floor raids went too fast, leaving players with no time to level up. Teresa nods, realizing the rush cost them crucial growth. Jinho voices frustration over the lack of players above level 15 and blames guilds like Junghwa for the guild's current crisis. Jinho crosses his arms, refusing to overlook the harsh truth, while Jinhyuk challenges him. demanding if he said anything wrong. Jin-hyuk shouts accusations, refusing to accept baseless humiliation, while Jin-ho raises his hand in frustration, defending their climb up the tower for humanity. Patrick slams his hand down, demanding silence and order as tensions threaten to tear the group apart. Patrick's glare cuts through the chaos as he orders everyone to focus, refusing to let the mission crumble. Jin-ho crosses his arms, locking eyes with Maria as he demands, "Have you thought of something?" Patrick grips his head in distress as the old man looms behind, revealing they received word from the demonic humans just before daybreak. Jin-ho, Maria, and Jin-hyuk exchange shocked glances as Jin-ho reveals the demonic humans' help comes with a dangerous condition they must accept. Jin-ho shouts his refusal to ally with the demonic humans, condemning them as globally wanted criminals and vulgar bastards. Maria and Teresa exchange serious words about the world's distrust of demonic humans and the overwhelming power of the large guilds over governments. Teresa clutches her necklace, warning that with growing influence, every word and action must serve a just and great cause. The chandelier's flames flicker wildly, then surge as a furious voice demands, "What do you mean we're trash?" Patrick leans forward, voice sharp as he defends the wounded pride of the so-called trash, flames roaring beside him. The old man grips his skull-topped staff, voice dripping with dark power as he taunts. "But don't you already know that you can't do anything with your strengths alone?" The old man slams his staff into the ground, unleashing a shockwave that tears through the battlefield, forcing everyone to brace for impact. Jin-ho slams his hand on the wooden table, eyes blazing as he snarls, "You demonic human trash! What do you think you are?" Jin-ho launches a fierce punch, snarling, "Since you showed yourself to me, I'll kill you." The man in the red jacket swings his glowing sword with deadly precision while hurling a massive object, declaring, "We finally agree on something, Beck Jin-ho." The old man leans forward, voice dripping with menace as he warns, "You're all quite hot-blooded. However, you might change your mind after hearing my proposal." Old man commands to join forces, promising the power to take down the third floor's boss. Jin-ho shouts in disbelief, tearing apart the claim that the demonic human association's tiny force could break through the army. Old man grips his skull-top staff and declares, "We just need to have quantity, don't we?" Old man slams his skull-topped staff down as purple energy swirls, unleashing the gravekeeper of the Black Tomb. A massive skeletal hand crashes through the floor as Patrick's eyes widen in alarm. Skeleton warriors clad in armor burst from the earth, their shields raised as they rise to join the fray. They glare at the towering building, voice dripping with disbelief as they confront the necromancer's terrifying power to command such a massive undead army. Patrick's eyes widen as he spots the skull-topped staff in the old man's grip, realization hitting hard. The old man raises the skull-topped staff, declaring it the legendary Staff of Greed, forged from 99 rare materials. T-Win wipes sweat from his brow, piecing together the deadly potential if the Staff of Greed merges with necromancer powers. T-Win declares the third boss raid isn't impossible, but Maria's shock reveals the ruthless truth. They're facing evil demonic humans. Jin-ho insists they should be tearing the old man apart right now, his frustration barely contained as the hooded figure stands firm with his skull-topped staff. Jin-ho weighs the stakes, deciding that if the price is a secret the public must never learn, then it's a risk worth taking. Teresa grips his sword and shield, firing back with a fierce question that leaves no room for doubt. Teresa tightens her grip on sword and shield, her voice sharp with disbelief as she condemns the alliance with the demonic humans. Teresa grips her sword tighter, eyes scanning the dim room as the armored woman clings to Jin-hyuk's absence, desperation thick in the air. Teresa's eyes lock on the incoming video call from Kong Jin-hyuk, hesitation flickering as she debates whether to answer. The tower announces that a single rookie cleared the first floor alone. His identity is listed as unknown. The rookie finally appears in front of the guild representatives through a screen call. The people who were searching for him realize the super rookie is right in front of them. An experienced summoner reacts calmly and says he has heard about the rookie who cleared the first floor. The summoner warns that a boss raid is completely different from a normal floor run. The rookie confidently replies that he can still handle it. The summoner reveals a large number of summoned skeleton soldiers and questions what couldn't be done with that many summons. The guild representatives agree, believing the summons are enough to challenge the boss. Someone interrupts and claims the rookie's equipment is fake. The rookie reacts with confusion as the accusation is made directly. Two materials are shown: Saint's Heart and a prison uniform soaked in holy oil. It is explained that using only these two materials cannot create the real Staff of Greed. The summoner explains that the real Staff of Greed has a red gem embedded beneath the skull. The rookie's staff is shown to be missing that red gem. The summoner then points outside toward the summoned skeleton soldiers. The quality of the skeleton soldiers is evaluated and judged to be too low. It is stated that these summons would not survive even half a day in the boss room. Hooded Man is clearly planning to abandon the group after grabbing coins and items during the chaos. Close-up of the Hooded Man's face. He's irritated and openly annoyed, calling the other side arrogant. The Hooded Man issues a warning, saying they'll regret rejecting his offer. He releases purple energy and calmly threatens that next time, when they meet in person, things won't be so easy. The Hooded Man disappears, leaving behind lingering purple energy. Two well-dressed figures arrive at the scene after he's gone. The tension is still hanging in the air. Inside a room, one of the men looks unsettled, clearly processing what just happened. The group regathers and asks what their next move should be now that the Hooded Man is gone. The unknown person promises he'll prevent them from joining the demonic humans and also handle clearing the tower for profit. The group questions him, asking if he's really planning to do everything alone. He confirms it directly, saying yes. One member thinks ahead, noting that even if the unknown fails, recruiting him afterward is still a win. Another agrees, saying this option is far better than siding with the demonic humans and has no real downside. A white-haired man smirks, clearly excited by the opportunity and not wanting to miss it. They begin discussing compensation, asking how much support and rewards the unknown wants. A red-haired woman cuts in, stating Olympus will provide full support instead. Another man objects, saying Titan should handle monetary backing since that's their specialty. The white-haired man argues back, saying money might not be what the unknown wants and offers personal support instead. The unknown person shuts it down, saying plainly that he doesn't need anything in return. Unknown asks the guilds to block off the entire area and let him enter the tower alone. In exchange, he says he won't take any rewards at all, making it clear he wants full control of the situation without outside interference. The red-haired representative questions his motives, pointing out that helping them this much without asking for anything only makes him more suspicious and demands to know his real reason. Unknown pauses and admits that there isn't a clear reason behind it, briefly reflecting on the question instead of giving a calculated answer. The blonde woman is visibly shaken by his words, surprised and emotionally affected by how straightforward and sincere he sounds. Unknown internally cringes at how dramatic his words sounded, even though he meant them honestly. The blonde woman repeats his words to herself, slowly smiling as she starts to accept his sincerity and view him more warmly. The white-haired guild leader becomes overly enthusiastic, loudly praising this as true camaraderie and clearly buying into Unknown's attitude. Unknown responds calmly, saying that as a guild representative, he doesn't have much to add, subtly deflecting the praise while staying composed. A surveillance device activates, revealing that the entire conversation has been recorded, confirming that Unknown's actions and words are now officially documented. The blonde representative smiles while watching the recording, noting that most people would have accepted the down payment without hesitation. Jinhyuk reflects that giving up rewards for allies is more valuable than short-term gains, and he's already thinking about how to use this to his advantage. He ends the video call and decides to upload edited footage, avoiding direct conflict with major guilds while still gaining benefits. His status window appears, showing his name, level 12, high magic stat, unique abilities, and multiple skills, confirming fast progression. Jinhyuk notes he reached level 12 in less than a day inside the spawning ground, and things are going smoother than expected. He's interrupted when Alice shouts at him for leaving everything to her, clearly stressed and overwhelmed. Jinhyuk bluntly tells her their relationship isn't a partnership, but a slave contract, which shocks and upsets her. He points at the system shop and mentions he was planning to buy a mana supplement for her. Alice explains a normal supplement won't work because her mana capacity is too large to be refilled that way. Jinhyuk explains that if he runs low on mana, he can't properly support her, so he intends to reclaim all the mana he spent. Alice completely misunderstands his intent, gets overly excited at the idea, and reacts in a dangerously enthusiastic way. The man feels dizzy and realizes how much blood was taken from him earlier. His mana is now fully restored, and he asks what comes next. He opens the system shop and casually says he will do some shopping. A list of items appears. He purchases multiple low-rank and strange materials without hesitation. After the purchase confirmation, Alice criticizes him for buying what looks like useless items. He replies that each item has a purpose. The man tells Alice they will be extremely busy from now on and that they must reach the end of the underground first floor today. Without waiting, he jumps straight down into the abyss. Alice panics, questioning how he can jump without knowing the depth. Mid-fall, he calmly says he knows exactly how deep it is because he has jumped down countless times before. He calls out to Alice, signaling her to act. She rushes after him in shock. A system message appears as a skill activates. Reverse gravity is triggered. Gravity flips instantly, stopping their fall. Both of them are pulled upward, landing safely as the descent turns into controlled movement forward. She calls him reckless and questions whether he's actually skilled or just surviving on luck, while he keeps moving forward without reacting. Her expression shifts as she realizes who he really is, and she quietly says his name, acknowledging his reputation. A system notification appears, activating his fire element ability and confirming he's entering serious combat mode. He reaches the altar and ignites the flame, calmly stating that this place is exactly where he's supposed to be. Insect monsters swarm the area, but he dismisses them as insignificant and directly challenges the real enemy to come out. A massive presence emerges from behind the altar, revealing the boss of this floor and setting the stage for the real fight. Anunis taunts Jinhyuk, mocking his eagerness to die, but Jinhyuk stands firm, ready to fight without wasting a word. Anunis laughs, mocking the idea of lowering himself to fight personally, calling it absurd to battle a mere mortal. Alice lunges forward with her scythe, while Jinhyuk braces himself, vowing to hold the threat back so she can escape. Jinhyuk smirks confidently, brushing off Alice's urgent warning as she reaches out, demanding he take the threat seriously. Anunis looms over the man, voice dripping with menace as he declares, "Let me show you what kind of person you made a contract with." Anunis tightens his grip on the curved hook, voice laced with dark amusement as he taunts, "How amusing." Anubis summons the judgment of Anubis, purple flames swirling as he demands, "Did you hear about me from that vampire you brought with you?" Judgment Girl activates the judgment of Anubis, summoning the towering scales as the first question echoes through the air. Jinhyuk stands firm, ready to face the absolute trial. Jinhyuk answers with unwavering confidence, acknowledging the ruthless rule. Patience lost grants the power to demand any question, truth irrelevant. Anunis narrows his eyes, accusing the target of seeking the elusive hive and confirming his every suspicion. Jinhyuk flashes an okay sign and grins, boasting about the black market value of the hive. Judgment Girl holds the glowing heart and balances the scales, her voice cutting through the silence with one final, fateful question. Anunus looms over the man, voice dripping with menace as he declares no one leaves his territory alive. Jin-hyuk clenches his fist, defiantly declaring he'd rather give up everything than back down, forcing Anunus to acknowledge his resolve. Jin-hyuk stands firm among jagged purple spikes as the judgment of Anubis ignites, declaring all conditions met without mercy. Jin-hyuk staggers as his stats plummet by half and his innate skills seal, the spectral beast looming like a dark curse behind him. Anubis declares the need for an agent to deliver judgment and selects a champion to carry out his will. Mantis channels a surge of purple energy, eyes burning with ruthless intent. Jin-hyuk steps forward with a serious glare as Alice recoils, disgust clear on her face. Mantis looms menacingly, declaring Jin-hyuk the champion destined to deliver judgment. Anubis glares with a glowing red eye, demanding, "What do you think of my dignified champion?" A hand reaches out, fingers brushing glowing blue squares as the voice declares, "Pretty tremendous." Jin-hyuk grips the glowing mini gramophone, declaring it enough to finally defeat the threat lurking in the shadows. Anunus mocks Jin-hyuk's sudden use of music as madness, but Jin-hyuk stands firm, knife ready, daring the stone creature to test his resolve. Anubis lashes out with his whip-like weapon, snarling that music is nothing but chaos unleashed. Jin-hyuk raises his glowing knife with fierce determination, ready to strike while cursing his opponent. The man playing cello unleashes a powerful, precise melody synced perfectly with the giant mantis's attack patterns, his voice cutting through the chaos like a weapon. Hands blow a sharp, commanding trumpet tune, echoing the relentless rhythm that drives the chase forward. Jin-hyuk blocks every desperate strike with his knife, turning fierce attacks into nothing but wasted effort. Anunus sweats in disbelief, realizing every move was anticipated and perfectly timed to the music's beat. This was no accident, it was a trap. Jin-hyuk wipes sweat from his brow, eyes sharp as the countdown ends. Now he can unleash his true power. Jin-hyuk slashes the air as countless spectral swords materialize around him, declaring the deadly sword cemetery activated. Alice swings her massive scythe, splattering green liquid as she taunts. "Did you think that would kill my champion?" Anubis snarls that the champion regenerates instantly but dies without stamina, and Jin-hyuk admits he can't kill the mantis in his current state. Jin-hyuk grips his knife with a menacing smile, vowing to make the mantis lose its will to live. Mantis bursts forward, radiating a deadly energy that fills the dark space with menace. Alice's eyes widen as she watches the fight escalate beyond her expectations, stunned by the overwhelming strength on display. She smiles nervously, eyes sharp with hope as she thinks he might actually help her get the revenge she craves. Mantis lunges with deadly intent, but Jin-hyuk stands firm, knife ready, while the cloaked figure commands him to keep fighting without hesitation. Mantis collapses, green slime dripping from its shattered form, while Jin-hyuk stands tall amid the wreckage, declared the proud warrior chosen by the gods. Jin-hyuk sits cross-legged, wearing a confident smile as Anunus recoils in surprise, shaken by the final blow meant to break his unyielding will. Jin-hyuk leaps backward, narrowly evading Mantis's crushing strike as the giant insect creature looms, ready to pounce again. Anubis breaks into a cold sweat, stunned as news hits that his champion not only lost but took their own life. Jin-hyuk stands over the fallen mantis, blade ready as the victory triggers a surge. Level up. A hand reaches for the glowing ice magic book, its snowflake symbol pulsing with power only found on the tower's middle floor. The character's eyes widen as a new skill icon with a crescent moon and star flashes, and the words, "Is this the effect of monopolize?" echo in their mind. Jin-hyuk summons jagged ice shards with ice molding activated, turning the tide with a power no one expected. Anunus growls, mocking the ice shards as mere toys and questioning the resolve behind such a fragile defense. Jin-hyuk clenches his fist, blue flames roaring to life as he spits back with fierce defiance, calling out the coward who only watches from the sidelines. Anubis reveals his true nature as a consciousness and demands to know the reason behind the challenge. He smiles, flames flickering around his hand as he declares the reason is simply because it's fun. Anubis lashes out with his whip-like weapon, purple flames roaring as he snarls at the insult, refusing to be seen as mere entertainment. Anubis summons an ancient beehive, unleashing giant insects that swarm violently as he roars. Disrespectful! Disrespectful! Mantis bellows. Kill that insolent human this instant! As a swarm of vicious insects descends with lethal intent. Mantis and another insect creature launch glowing energy orbs mid-air, their deadly assault blurring the space around them. He clenches his hand, blue energy crackling as he admits, "I guess this won't be enough." He whirls, flames erupting from his palm as he cuts through the encircling attackers with burning fury. Jinhyuk summons a blazing orb of fire and ice, hurling it forward with lethal precision that freezes and burns everything in its path. The blazing orb collides with a searing blue energy burst, igniting a fierce explosion that shakes the battlefield. The energy burst explodes violently as the skill Daylight is unlocked, signaling a new power unleashed. The system confirms a successful combination, and Jinhyuk gains a new AA-rank skill called Daylight. Daylight activates immediately, releasing a massive burst of white light that floods the area and overwhelms the battlefield. The skill details appear, explaining that Daylight is a wide-range flash attack meant to disrupt vision and control the field. Jinhyuk uses the light offensively, firing it straight at the hive-spawned enemy. Anubis reacts and decides to change tactics, realizing the light-based attack isn't enough to finish the fight. Anubis activates a new skill called Chosen Target, marking a specific enemy as the focus. The hive responds by spawning a powered-up bee entity, signaling an escalation in the encounter. Jinhyuk attacks again, but the marked enemies don't die. Instead, they split and multiply, revealing the real danger of Chosen Target as the chapter ends. The battlefield fills with hornet monsters. No matter what skills are used, they keep coming, showing that brute force alone won't solve this. The protagonist spots what he's been waiting for and pulls out a special item. A system message confirms it's a giant pill that can massively increase size. He throws the pill forward while moving in, forcing the hornets to react without fully understanding what he just used. The hornets attack immediately, but the system clarifies that the pill's effect has a delay. The protagonist uses this window to stay aggressive. Close combat continues. Hornets are cut down, but they don't disappear. Instead, more keep appearing, proving they aren't meant to be killed normally. Anubis loses patience and shouts orders, demanding the hornets kill the protagonist immediately as the situation starts slipping out of control. The swarm spreads and multiplies mid-battle. The narration explains the real threat. Enemies that don't die, only increase in number. The protagonist stays calm despite the chaos. The scene ends with the sense that this isn't about winning fast, but forcing the enemy into a worse position. He activates the unknown cube. The system confirms it's been used, and energy starts forming around him. The system lists the materials being consumed. All 4 items are selected to reinforce the unknown cube. The items merge. The cube reacts violently as the fusion process completes. He analyzes the repeated attack pattern calmly instead of panicking, preparing a counter. The cube's effect triggers. A fire attribute activates, changing the nature of his attacks. A giant pill effect activates. The enemy is overwhelmed as its body starts breaking apart. Multiple giant pills drop at once. The system confirms repeated item drops from the same enemy. He realizes the truth. This boss can multiply endlessly, giving infinite experience and items. Used correctly, it becomes the perfect copy and farming machine. Anubis realizes something is off. The situation isn't chaotic by chance. The setup looks intentional, and he starts questioning how this outcome was created. He notices the item combination and the spatial control. The protagonist didn't react randomly. He prepared the tools in advance to force this exact result. The trap becomes clear. The hive's core mechanic has been identified and exploited. This isn't brute force, it's system abuse done cleanly. Anubis confirms it. The target from the start was the hive itself, not the monsters. Once the core is hit, everything collapses. Anubis destroys the hive, ending the endless multiplication. The battlefield resets instantly. The advantage shifts back. The protagonist reacts calmly. No surprise, no panic. He treats it as expected progress and prepares to move forward, signaling the end of this phase and the start of the next climb. Anubis declares he will judge the MC later for disrespecting him, but his presence is already breaking down. The vessel hosting Anubis collapses completely and loses stability. System confirms the vessel of Anubis has been destroyed and the conditions are cleared. A system save triggers as the battlefield resets and energy disperses. The skill judgment of Anubis is granted with overranked difficulty and strict activation rules. Details explain the skill weakens the target by half and restricts abilities for 1 minute. Usable only once per target. The system warns that abusing the skill may invite direct wrath from ancient Egyptian gods. Multiple gods observe the MC, some showing interest while others react with hostility. The MC realizes he's been noticed by higher beings and comments on their narrow mindset. A winged girl appears suddenly, confused about what just happened, as the MC calmly states he already won. The MC status screen updates, showing a major level increase and newly unlocked abilities. His core stats double, and he decides to distribute points evenly for stability. A system video call interrupts his planning. His core stats double, and he decides to distribute points evenly for stability. A system video call interrupts his planning. The caller reveals himself as Cheon Yu-sung, surprised that the MC remembered him. Cheon questions where the MC is and whether he has entered an unknown zone. The MC shuts the question down and refuses to explain his location. Cheon Yu-sung calls Kong Jin-hyuk and says he has a proposal for him, which immediately puts Jin-hyuk on edge. Yu-sung explains that in 24 hours, the Awakened Association will hold a martial arts tournament, and all AA rank and above players, including himself, will participate. Jin-hyuk questions the timing, pointing out that the association is still failing to clear the third-floor boss, so holding a tournament now makes no sense to him. Yu-sung directly invites Jin-hyuk to join the tournament so they can settle things with a final fight to decide who wins and who loses. Jin-hyuk rejects the idea, saying he has no reason to waste time since Yu-sung doesn't even have a skill worth copying. Yu-sung reveals his leverage by showing an invitation ticket to the black market, making it clear this is the real reason Jin-hyuk won't be able to refuse.